Well, what's the crack, everybody? How are you getting on? Welcome to another episode of Bookshot. It is Friday the 12th of November 2021. Or if you're a Patreon, you would have gotten this last night as I'm recording this intro. So, that's the joys of it. How are you keeping? You well? Weather's gone a bit shite, but sure, look it. I say that, but we've got listeners coming now from all over the world. The weather might be absolutely smashing, wherever the hell you are from. Thanks very much to new Patreons this Tara Taylor and Emma Louise. New Patreons this week. Fair play to you. We had a live one at the weekend. Just gone. Great crack. So if you're kind of wondering what's the end about the live one, essentially we do it over Zoom. We have an old drink, bit of crack. We don't record it. Don't put it out anywhere. It's just a bit of crack. We pick a subject and just get loosey-goosey and just have a natter. And it was great crack. Gang of people showed up. Mighty times had by all. Of course, you will get today's video of today's podcast exclusively to the Patreons, and you get the ad free. If ads give you a pain in your hole, if for nothing else, if the ads, because they will be on this, the ads give you a pain in the hole, and they drop them in. I've attempted to put breaks where they're supposed to be, but it doesn't work. They just have an auto-generating algorithm / machine of some sort that just fires them in anywhere. So if they give you a pain in your absolute hoop, jump over to Patreon, have a look down the show notes, click through. If you PayPal, you'll be done and dusted in 30 seconds. And it's class. You support the show and you get extra stuff. You know the crack. Follow me on all the usual platforms, Tom O'Mahony Comedy. Through the link in the bio there, you'll find what you need in the way of merch. Couple of new bits of merch. Very excited. Going to be in some new logo changes from a very exciting illustrator before the end of the year. So we'll have them. And I have a couple of bits to throw up there as well. A silhouette bit that friend of the show, long-term listener, Davey, drew a couple of weeks, and I just it just struck a chord with me. I was like, that's lovely. Let's put that up. Put it on a t-shirt and see what we can do with it. So that'll be going up fairly soon. That'll be going, I'd say, next week. I'll have time to do it next week. So we'll get out. There's a couple more bits to go up. Tom and Jerry show is about to start recording. We're going to record an episode next week at the very least, just to get something in the tank, and then a few more bits running up to Christmas, and then we'll probably launch. We'll keep you updated as to what we're doing, especially the Patrons, because there's the Ramble Pod in the middle of the week that's exclusively for the Patrons, where I natter and I give you the inside track to everything. So if you're it's just another thing, if you're to fill the time at work to listen to the ramblings of an insane person sitting in a darkened studio by themselves. I got back. I'm 99% sure I got back to everybody who emailed me. A couple of people let me know where they're listening from. Please do, absolutely do. If you're listening from anywhere, let me know when or where, what you're listening to, because it's the best demographic kind of analysis you'll ever get. Like, statistics would show up on the Oak, but you don't know who's listening or where they're listening, what kind of people are listening. So I think I've gotten back to everybody now at this stage, because I was a bit behind. But if I haven't, I'm sorry. Do you know what? Tag me. Instagram, really, you'll find it the best place to catch me, because it's one of the few places that actually gives you alerts. Some are brutal, and I'm not great either. It's not for being rude, but it's just I'm a bit of an old bollocks. I don't spot them things. Gigs coming up in the next week or so. I'm in Clonmel with a banging lineup of Sinead Quinlan, Paul Crowley and Jim Elliott, all alumni of Buckshot. They'll be with me in Baker's Comedy Club in Clonmel this Thursday the 18th. So if you're in the region, that's going to be a gig. That's a good gig, I tell you now. I'll be hosting 4 very different acts, and the crack will be fucking savage. I'm not messing. That's a really, really interesting, fun lineup. I'm really looking forward to that one, because everybody's got just a lovely silliness to them. I can see us all getting chips afterwards, that kind of way. We all enjoy each other's company. So I'm sensing this is going to be a very, very good one. And it was moved. I moved because one thing or another. I'm in the Laughter Lounge then this coming weekend. I was booked to do this weekend ages ago, and they didn't take it off the book. So if anybody saw me on their socials, I'm not on, as you listen to this, I'm not on tonight or tomorrow night. I'm on next week, which was moved because I'm going to a wedding. As you're listening to this on the Friday, I'm at a wedding right now. So it was a cousin that I actually like. I couldn't give the excuse. I didn't want to give the excuse. I actually wanted to go to this wedding. It's a cousin that I like. So I'll be there the 19th and 20th. I'll be in the Laughter Lounge. And the following week, I'm very excited to bring Mickey Bartlett to the University Concert Hall in Limerick. Oh, sweet Jesus Christ. Those are a couple of tasty gigs coming up over the next fortnight. So, get on it, people. If you're in the region of Dublin, Limerick or Tipperary, I'm doing my best for you. I'm doing my best. It's getting weird out there, people. Gigs are on, gigs are off. But look, so far we're tipping away. We're doing all right. Anyway, that's all the usual crack. If you can rate this podcast, please do on the usual platforms. Whether it's Apple Podcasts or Acast or wherever you can do it. Do give it a 5-star rating and write a review. If you can't do any of them things, please do me a favour. Screen grab it. Tag the podcast. Let me know where you're listening. If nothing else, it tells your people. And they might become Patreons, which ends up supporting the show and makes it absolutely worthwhile. Right, today's guest is a long-term friend. Great man. Powerful man. Very, very funny. And you need to follow him because some of his stuff is absolutely delightful over on Instagram. Anybody in the Dublin region will know exactly who the hell he is. He's FM 104 DJ and very funny stand-up comedian. My good friend, Cormac Moore. And we have the great and powerful Cormac. Cormac, do you know what? The last time we got to properly hang out was nearly 3 years ago to the day.
Was just saying that to Trace, for those who don't know, my fiance, and would probably, I don't know if you know her longer than me, nearly from comedy in the Halfpenny, potentially. But anyway, we were just saying that, I don't know, have I seen you since the young lad's christening?
No, not since the young lad's christening. No, you haven't. Yeah.
How's he getting on?
Asher, he's fucking part Cro-Magnon. He's an absolute bulldozer. Good. I didn't think how much good. I didn't know. I had no idea because I knew nothing about children. And I still know nothing about children. So I don't know if what I'm doing is completely wrong, but his whole MO seems to be the crack.
Right. Okay.
Everything he's when he's actually be way too much on a night out. After a while, you know what I mean? Because he'd be the fella.
The intense just won't go home.
No, he's so right now. That's fine in child format, but he's its whole MO is, can I find a bucket, put it on my head, play a tune on it? Can I run over and try and make the cat talk? It's all about the crack. So right now it's fucking hilarious, and thankfully, thank Christ, more than anything, and you never really think about it until you have to go to a fucking hospital with a small old thing. He's as healthy as a fucking bullock,
So once he's still breathing, Tom, job done. He's been fed and watered, so job done.
He's grand. He's absolutely fucking flying it. So very social child, I noticed. And what's funny is kind of COVID-y children and stuff are very, very whatever
panicky.
It is about it. He does a happy dance and wants to catch everybody by the face. So it's like great. He's gonna be that guy. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Good to hear.
But yeah, we were on a session, the proper hangout, and Ireland were playing the All Blacks. Do you remember that?
That wasn't when we were in
Donoghue's. Myself, yourself, and Keith Fox.
Yeah, because the other time I keep remembering is and I'm sure you've mentioned this a few times before, that I randomly bumped in. No, I was out in town and I think you randomly texted if we were around because you had the worst gig of your life. And I just remember consoling you at the bar.
That was that night, yeah.
Was that night?
Yeah.
What a great night. Scarred into my brain because I just met Tom and... what was it, after the Temple Moore gig?
Oh man,
you were just I needed to bury that story deep under a rake of pints so that it would go away. It's fucking magic though.
God, because that was a Thursday night. Then the Friday night I did a lovely gig that washed me somewhat. I didn't know stand up. I just sat up on a stool and went, do you mind if I just talk to you for half an hour?
Group therapy.
And it really was. It was actually great crack. But it's a gorgeous venue in Ballincollig. It's an awful shame that they don't do comedy there anymore. I think it's one of those unplugged ones where you could find fucking Damien Dempsey trying out a new song. Random old yoke, to 50 people in this beautiful little venue upstairs. But couldn't have been, but it still was not off me. I needed to. It was fine talking to norms, as we say, but I needed to hang out with a couple of the boys and tell them all about that gig, so that you could basically laugh at my misfortune. Over
it was so good. I'm sure you've mentioned that numerous times on this podcast, but it's the worst gig I've ever heard of anyone doing ever. I don't think I've heard of a worse gig ever. Apart from maybe an interview, Paul Smith, the ginger lad from Liverpool. He had one in Dublin where a hen party stripped him on stage. Yeah,
I mean, it sounds it's shitty.
It's going to be a shitty gig, but it wasn't as scarring and as traumatic as that. So glad to see you've gone over. And it's shocking that it's been that long, Tom, since an old pint.
I fucking jizz. Yeah, we swam some. I was guzzling pints that night because it was just.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Ireland won. Everything was good. Yourself and Keith were there, so it was great. And then Ireland won as well, so it was fucking.
Dear.
But yeah, for anybody who's wondering, I did a gig. If you want to go back and find it in detail, in fucking recorded audio detail, go and listen to the Tom and Jerry show. It's in there somewhere.
So beautiful. It's so worth your while.
Because trying to explain it, I probably even put a polished version together by the time. Because as time passes by, you go, maybe it wasn't that bad. But literally, you were there when I was still
Raw. Yeah.
Raw. And every single facet and detail I told you about, like it was so much bizarreness surrounding that, like getting a tour of the place, and then it was, oh man, it was just
sick kids wheeled out, just magic.
Yeah. Because you're putting more of an emphasis now on comedy again, aren't you?
Yeah.
I see, like you're doing class sketches. Never realised you were a really good singer. Didn't know that.
Auto-tune, man. Paid 100 and something quid for it on the old... on the old... That's what I did in lockdown. I did like one of those online music production courses. I was like, what am I doing here? But no, it's funny you said it because I've been trying to... like put a little bit more emphasis on the stand-up for the while, and said we'll not make that priority number one, but I kind of just with radio over the last couple of years, working nights and early mornings, I've always had the excuse of I can't fucking gig, and then there's me getting bitter looking at all you cunts doing class gigs, and I'm sitting there going, you fucking arseholes, why are they doing Galway? Why are they doing Vodafone?
Yeah.
But no, I haven't. See, I was planning on going to Edinburgh. I was right in the middle of writing a show start of 2020. Actually, in February, like I'd done 2 or 3 work in progresses in the International with a new show, and the plan was to go to Edinburgh. And then obviously the shit hit the fan. So I was there going, all right, okay, well that's the end of that. So I just said now I've tried to make it a little bit more of a priority. I'm trying to do a bit more writing and a bit more, as you said, churning shit out, getting over the fucking ego block of it's not fucking good enough, you know what I mean, and just trying to churn a bit more shite out and seeing what happens, and sticking with it. So because that's truth be told, we'd all love to do that fucking full time, but
I had a very frank, it's funny you say that, I had a very frank conversation with Emma Doran a couple of weeks ago, like, and Emma's going from strength to strength. Do you know, it was funny, I was going to post, because I'm such good friends with her, but I was going to post just, I haven't heard, sorry, it's been an hour and I haven't heard that Emma Doran is on a lineup. Is she okay?
yeah.
Do you know, but in fairness, it came into my head, and then she'd posted something quite kind of sad, and I went, fuck it, I won't today. Maybe I will another day, but she would totally appreciate it because she's a dark fucker too.
But everyone else might look at you as an arsehole because he didn't know. You'd be like, wow, this guy's a dick. Jesus.
Oh yeah, isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? if it was, if Emma was fucking Emmett Doran, I could post that all day long. But she, but in all fairness, she, I said it. I goes, listen, what the fuck? She goes, what the fuck is right? Like, because it was a story that had happened that weekend where a very well-known comedian had almost in a fucking mafia style had anointed me, basically after seeing me do a set. I went, that deserves to be. You deserve to be somewhere fucking bigger than just what you're doing. I was like, well, you hold all the fucking power. This particular comedian
said to you,
holds all the power.
Yeah.
And okay. As we stand at the minute, literally that weekend was putting out a TV show showing that she holds all the power. I was like, well, what the fuck, like? And I said it to him, it's just, look, here's the thing, Tom. You're gonna have to do more online fucking sketches. And I know you want to punch yourself in the dick. I know you do. I know you do. But unfortunately, that's where it's at.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, because it's in a way it's good and it's not good, because like you see all the lads coming up, right, and rather than be annoyed and fucking angry at them, I'm kind of like, actually, let's just do what they're doing, because you have the lads who didn't come up through the miserable open mic nights, where you're travelling 6 hours for 5 minutes for nothing, and you're coming back at 3 a.m. and you got shit thrown at you and doing all that shit. And I think that stuff is really good because obviously you need the stage time or whatever. And then you have cunts who have just been banging out stuff for a year online and they're doing Vicar Street, and you're like, there's no point kind of complaining about that, because that's just the way it is, But even like, it doesn't have to be sketches. Like, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to try and do is record every gig that I do and try and get 30 seconds a 30-second clip and fuck it up online and then see what the crack is. Because hilariously, even if the thing only gets 200 views, that's like technically, gigging in front of 200 people. 200 people saw it more than that, and to use the gigs as like a training ground for new material and to work it out and move towards a show, but then jump on the whole online bandwagon, because it's like it is a pain in the fucking hole, because there's so much more work now you have to do, but fucker, if you want to do it, I suppose you fucking do it and get it out,
Well, the thing is, it wouldn't even enter other people's minds that will say, for example, we'll say Enya. Is a stand-up, but she made her name by the sketches she did. You know what I mean? And I mean, the argument would be, well, listen, you know what I mean? Could she fucking do a room where fucking nobody... And you're going, doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. Because she'll fill Vicar Street with the people that want to see exactly what she does. She doesn't have to give a fuck about enamouring herself to an audience somewhere in fucking West Cork.
Yeah. She's found her audience. You know what I mean?
She found her audience.
Job done. Happy fucking days.
And that's what was kind of said to me by this powerful comedian was, the reality, Tom, is you need to find your audience, because that's what it's all about, is finding your audience. You know what I mean? You can try... There isn't enough space anymore for the general Tommy Tiernan. Tommy was started when there was 6 comedians in the entire country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everything was up for grabs. I remember telling me that.
RTE had a fucking comedy department, and they were fucking backing people, and now it's like, nope, sorry lads, you're on your own. You're on your own, and it's mad, because what is that? ITV and Sky are the only ones who are kind of backing Irish comedians now at the moment as well. So, yeah, it's a lonely old world out there, Tom. You're on your own. It
is a weird one, all right. But you know what? I mean, I could grumble. But then,
record the grumblings, put them up online.
Fucking grumbling. It would be, but I've gotten over my grumbling. I think I was a bit of a snob maybe a couple of years ago. At the beginning, going, fucking comedian. You call yourself a fucking comedian. And it was only coming from a personal point of view, because comedians are the most insular fucking self-reflecting, self-appraising fucking wankers you'll ever meet. So you'll never turn around and go, hey, well done, guys. Because nobody will say it to you either.
I know. You kind of just have to go in, put the head down, go in and go out, do your fucking thing, and on to the next one. And just and fucking work it. But it is mad though, because things like the one thing can blow up on fucking TikTok or Facebook or even Instagram now, and just fucking double your followers in a fucking night. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's
like your man Paul Smith.
Yeah.
I think he did a set or whatever at the Hot Water Comedy Club, which weirdly I helped actually draw and design. Weirdly, it was a whole nother conversation, but he was literally playing to everybody who has the same accent as him. Absolutely smashed it. By all accounts, a very well known comedy club here. He came over on the back of that popularity, 100,000 followers or whatever, and it did not translate. You know what I mean? It just didn't.
But he's done arenas in the UK.
Oh yeah,
ridiculous shit. But that's the other thing. I've been reading and I've been doing some comedy writing courses recently, and the whole thing is about, make it as accessible to as many people as fucking possible. And it's a hard one, because, you can nail your local references, and you can nail your Irish jokes, and you can nail your, obviously, from wherever you're from, and they'll fucking hit and they'll kill. That's kind of what, Tommy does as well, nails it. But if you want to, maybe, as you said, does that translate across? No, I meant the gigs. I remember the first gig I ever did in the Comedy Crunch in the Stag's Head downstairs, died my arse. And it was one reference that the main punchline was riding on a joke about Oscar Pistorius, the South African gunman. And it was a thing about, if he instead of being obsessed with guns, if he was obsessed with ice cream. But I'd use 99s, right? And half of that, 99 ice cream from Havana, or whatever, half of that room, more than half is foreign. They're all tourists, so they just didn't get it. And I came back the next time and I just swapped it for McFlurry, and then they're like, okay, but you're confusing them and then just not realising that fucking local inside jokes sometimes don't translate.
Yeah. Anybody coming to us and wondering, Cormac sounds a little congested.
No, laughy cough.
This may or may not be the case. That I think. You got 2 lines? Did you? You got 2 lines. 2 lines. I
got 1. So I did. I did 2.
So that doesn't mean
tests.
You're pregnant.
No, it just doesn't mean I'm pregnant at all. I don't know if these antigen tests are any good, but Yeah, as in very sniffly, very nasally, very like, oh, I have a bit of a flu. Like, don't feel too bad, but did the old antigen test, and it's come up negative. Right, and it gives you a line under C, which is meant to be negative, which I would have thought is like, oh, COVID. You know, it's very confusing because you panic a little, but apparently it's negative. But I don't know. I don't think so. I think it might be. I'm struck with the old COVID, so I'll find out. I'm going for a proper PCR now tomorrow to fucking see what the crack is.
Oh, fingers crossed, you know, that you do have it, because to be honest,
yeah.
You know,
one more gig going for Tom then in the future. You know what I mean? Space has popped up because someone has died. Go on.
More so, just I think you'll get great fucking mileage out of it anyway. You're on the radio for Jesus' sake. Like, you'll get great mileage. And to be fair, you've been my first guest. I mean, I've had a couple who've had it, but never had somebody right at
in the middle of it.
No,
amazing.
Never.
This is I'll talk you through all the symptoms. I'm just like, oh my God. I just feel like as if I have a bit of a cold, a fluey cold,
I mean,
a light one.
You possibly have a cold.
Yeah.
Like, it is November.
I know, yeah, that's the thing, because I was looking at all the symptoms, but now everything that is a symptom of a cold and a flu is also like, oh, it could be coronavirus, could be dying. So I don't know. I'll go tomorrow and we'll see what the crack was. Like, I got no pings or anything on my phone about close contacts or whatever, so we'll fucking see.
It's everything. Like, I mean, the hangover and everything. The entirety of the feeling of a dose of a hangover.
Yeah.
Absolutely feels like you've COVID.
Yeah.
Like, there's all the reasonings behind it. Your stomach isn't right. You're coughing. You're fucking
face and bits. You don't like the light. You're like, oh, get away from me.
So I really hope you have it.
Get it out of the way. Won't need a booster shot then. I'd be like, grand, got it, job done.
Mr. fucking Immune.
Yeah.
And what's the landscape changed like radio wise? Were you like, was it? Because it was spooky. Because where you were, I actually drove in one night because you're over on just off the Keys,
down beside the Three Arena, yeah.
The three Arena, and I was over that neck of the woods doing a bit for the Laughter Lounge. We were recording in there, and it hit me like a ton of bricks because we moved back down the country or whatever, and I was up. I was maybe fucking 8 o'clock at night last spring, and it was fucking weird, man. It's because you're in the country, nothing looks different. You know what I mean? It looks the same as it always did. But driving in on a Friday night and not a soul around. Like, just a fox looking at me on the fucking on the bridge, like.
So we so you know what, like the harshest lockdown, what was it, like lockdown 1 inside your 2K and all that shit, everything was shut down, coffee shops weren't open, and everything was fucking full lockdown. We were the last to go remote, so we were still going into the studio a bit, right, while they were setting us up to work from home, and I was getting a checkpoint every day by the guards looking for your papers. It's like, where are you going? And like, I'm just going down to fucking work. So we had to have a letter from work, the ID, whatever, going in, and it was mad. I made great time with the traffic. I was like, this is unreal. This is great. 20 minutes into work, nothing, but it was absolutely deserted. But then we moved to broadcasting from home fully. So we did the entire station was broadcasting remotely. People were broadcasting I will be broadcasting tonight from this room as well, because I can't go into work because I'm symptomatic. So I'll be broadcasting the show tonight. So we were doing the whole show remotely. Whole station was remote, and that was great, right? But one of the big fucking, I made this mistake so many fucking times, mortifying. Like, the way it was worked, we dialed in remotely to the station, right? So they're digital studio, so you can dial in remotely, right? And my mic can connect to the desk. So, and I can have a digital mixer on my screen, which is just pulling up the faders remotely, right? So you can do all that. It's actually pretty cool. You can manage the whole desk, pull up a fader remotely, job done, turn my mic on, and happy days. But there was like at least three or four times, because of the delay with my co-host. So rather than me talking into the mic, which went into the desk, which went to her, and then she'd come back, to be like nearly a half a second delay either side, right? So all we did was we rang each other on WhatsApp. So I had underneath my headphones other smaller earbuds in, so there was less of a delay on WhatsApp. So we were just like having a call, so we could talk normally, and it was all going out grand. But there was sometimes I was obviously listening and hearing her over the WhatsApp call, but forgot to put her mic fader up in the studio. So for 10 minutes, I'm talking away to myself, going out and air, going, no way.
My God.
And did you think of that? Right, yeah. Literally 5-10 minutes and she's not going out at all. I'm there laughing away to myself, live on fucking air, like an absolute gobshite. And then I'd eventually go in and check all the WhatsApp messages that were coming in. It was like, I can't hear. And I'm like, oh, fuck me. But there was a few teething errors like that. But it was actually really cool to be able to do it. You know what I mean? Because there was... so that's what we're doing now. We're kind of gone back in half and half. So we're doing all our prep and our pre-records from home and go in for the live show. Because kind of like... I'm there like, we don't fucking need to go in. Actually, all we're doing is, you have a laptop. All we're doing is getting content and prepping stuff to talk about on air, whatever. And if we're doing pre-records, we do them over Zoom as well. We were overcomplicating it beforehand, and then we're just, now we just pre-record it via Zoom, and it goes out on air, and the quality's fine. So we go in and do the live show, and yeah, it's grand. It's actually grand because we can get more work done. So I don't have to sit in traffic for an hour going through Phibsborough, at 3 o'clock waiting, and then you're not fluting about. So you can get a fucking shit ton done. So I've been getting it way more done, and it's grand now. This evening I'm going to be obviously going in remote again, and there probably might be a few teething issues with it because I haven't done it in a while. But we did an outside broadcast in Toner's pub when they opened up for the first time.
Yeah.
And it was grand because usually when you see a radio station out somewhere in a fucking shopping centre or blah, 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 there's usually someone back at base pressing all the buttons, moving all the faders and pressing all the buttons. But because we were able to do it from home, I was able to do all that myself. So it was grand. You know what I mean? You have a bit more control because there's nothing worse than you have to be talking to someone, lining up stuff, saying, I'm going to say this, and then you have to hit that button, but then you have to hit that bit of music or that bit of audio. It's a fucking nightmare. So to be able to just to have the control to be able to do that, you don't sound like a gobshite. You can actually, it's a bit smoother, so it's grand.
It kind of opens up more possibilities. So if that's the fucking case, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Like I went over to Virgin Radio over, they're part of the same group of companies. So I was over in London there a couple of years ago, and I got in touch with them, and I was like, any chance of a tour of the old studios? And Chris Evans is doing their breakfast, right?
Yeah.
And I got a tour of the studios, and the studios are fucking class. But anytime they're all modern, cameras fitted out, the whole thing. But they were telling us that when Chris Evans goes on holidays, he has a villa in Portugal with a studio built out in the villa, right? So he goes on holidays, but he doesn't take any time off, right? So what he does is he dials in remotely from Portugal and does a show, and he has a webcam, and they project his face on the back wall of the studio because it's a massive LED wall, and it's just this giant Chris Evans head in the studio broadcasting. So it's great. It's been great that way to be able to do it and broadcast remote and not be limited by that either, you know what I mean? So it does, if it wasn't still kind of shitty lockdown, you'd probably be able to do some more creative fucking things with it, and be able to go places or do a bit more creative stuff with regards to broadcasting from different locations. But it's been good in that way, in that it's showed us that I don't have to go into work. I can just do it from this room.
We have been intrinsically tied through your radio station. There was a period there where if you had anything weird or you just ring me and go, Tom, I want to do this weird shit. Do you want to do it? And I'm like, yeah.
We'll roll out Tom to put on some makeup or do some skinny jean Pilates, was it? And fucking...
He fucked me up I don't know how many times. It's just, that'll tell you, when you just hang up your shame when it comes to stand-up. The things you did to me. What was it? Was she Miles as well? What was her name again?
Oh, Daniela.
First name? Daniela. She was the co-host that was on board, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And she pierced my fucking ears,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in Dundrum.
Dundrum
the
Shopping
same
Centre,
day,
yeah.
He put makeup on me, and I say that he brought me down to
Inglot on the thing, in the shopping centre there.
What a dreadful name for a makeup company. It sounds like they make fucking gates for cats. Get your Inglot. But whatever shit was in that makeup, man. I don't know what a face of makeup costs, but they literally went full RuPaul on me.
Oh yeah, that's exactly who you look like. Yeah, look great.
It did, but my face rejected it. It was.
Did you get an allergic reaction?
Oh man, I'd been in a scrap. My eyes closed over. I've never been allergic really to anything. My eyes closed over. I put up a picture. I remember a few people went, you're so masculine. Even your face. I don't think so. I think I just have sensitive skin, guys.
Yeah, it's just rejecting the makeup and spitting it out as best as it could. Yeah, fucking good times. That was another.
Spray tanned me as well.
But that night in Dundrum was the biggest cock up ever on air. It was one of the worst days I've ever had, because we had never broadcasted from that studio in Dundrum ever. So they have a studio that, again, you can broadcast your show from there, and no one had told us the proper settings to set up. I kind of went out once and no one told me that when you're doing when you're doing the show from there, like you press all the buttons and control the faders and stuff like that. There's a whole studio desk and stuff. So we would usually have the news at the top of our show that you'd have to control, and you have to control all the news beds, like or the news music, the news background music, like the news intros. So the news, the sports, and the weather intros that I'd have to control or whatever. But when we went to news, I couldn't hear it. I was sitting there and it was like the news at 6 o'clock or whatever it was, and I was sitting there kind of going, oh, I could hear the music, the news music underneath, and I was like, why is no one talking? Why is no one talking? Why is no one talking? And I could hear it, but like I couldn't hear it, and I couldn't hear anyone talking. So I was there. Do I skip on because someone back at base has fucked up, or do I play or what? So I just skipped into the sports, and then it was like, sports, spin sports, blah blah blah. Waiting again, couldn't hear anything, and I was like, oh fuck. So I just skipped the whole way through. But I didn't realise that going out there someone was reading. So they'd never told us that when you're doing that, you have to listen to there's the FM, there's the live broadcast feed and the studio feed. So my headphones were only playing what was in the studio. So the news person was back at base, so I should have been listening off the FM feed, if you know what I mean. If I had listened off the FM, to the actual radio, I would have heard she was talking, but I was just listening to the things in the studio, and I couldn't hear it. It's just a fucking nightmare. And then I thought I lost my car, because you know when you're stressed to fuck and you're in Dundrum and you go to that mystical level in Dundrum, 2M, right? I swear to Christ, I was walking around for 45 minutes looking for my car, couldn't find it, pretending though as if I knew where it was, but I kept meeting the same three people doing the same lap as me, looking for their cars, holding the stuff, going, yeah, it's fine, to the point where I was so fucked over, so annoyed, so exhausted. I was about to go down to security and go, my fucking car's gone. What's the story here? Because I was like, no, this is where I parked it. This exact spot. I was standing there. It was fucking empty. But I was on 2. And then I went up to 3. And then after ages of walking around, I was like, 2 fucking M. And I was like,
yeah,
thank
M,
Christ.
you wankers.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought I genuinely, the feeling of drunkenness came over me after losing my car on 2M1E.
Yeah.
This is what it's like when you're pissed drunk and you're convinced that you one more can in the fridge, but you actually you drank it. But you're like, some cunt has had to thrown out my can. That was the same feeling. I'm like, rob my car. And who would rob the piece of shit I was driving at the time? Like, nobody would. Yeah. And robbed it in one of the most secure car parks. Yeah. Lit up car parks in the country.
Yeah.
It was 2M.
Yeah. Mythical 2M. I can never get over it. I hate though that fucking that car park and that shopping centre car park. It's just like, no. Stress.
Yeah, that shopping centre full stop gives me.
Yeah.
I have hives coming up me right. Shopping centres, as you can imagine. Yeah. I'm not one for shopping centres. It's
a Woody's, maybe, but a shopping centre maybe not.
Not even. It's the meandering that kills me. Lots of people, no problem with that.
Yeah.
But it's the meandering for no purpose. Yeah. Is what fucking kills me. If people do it in Woody's. Go to a regular hardware, fill it with people, but every fucking one of them knows what they're after.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? A purposeful shop, but you go into people literally go to Dundrum to just go to Dundrum shopping centre with no purpose.
It's a day out. Get your best fake tan on, Tom. You know all about that now.
You're a psychopath. You're a fucking psychopath if that's what suffices as a day out.
I know, yeah.
Dundrum.
Oh fuck, I know.
And you're nearly married. You're nearly a married man.
Should have been married. We were meant to get married in March of this year, obviously, and then the shit hit the fan. So March last year, pushed it back to June. No, what year is it? 21.
Yeah, 21.
March this year. Meant to be March this year. Pushed it to July, thinking it'll be grand by July. So then we just pushed it back a full year. So it's March 25. 25th of March next year. Save the date.
March 25. Not sure Trace is like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So it's grand. It was funny because we went, and there's this kind of idea that organising a wedding is chaos and stressful and hell, right? It was so easy. It was like, this is too easy. It was like we had everything done in a couple of weeks. So it was kind of grand, and we were sitting there kind of going, that was too easy. Now why? There should have been a few more problems with that. And then literally a couple of weeks later, COVID-19. We were like,
August, good tubbing.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Good tubbing. Fucking COVID. A knee jag, COVID, and it came and just fucking wrecked everything. So we've, although we were lucky though, a few of my mates got fucked over far more, but we've moved it, and I hope. Well, you don't know what the state of the situation now. If everyone isn't dead by the time March comes around next year,
yeah,
fingers crossed.
Like that, they're going to a wedding tomorrow that the cousin has literally pushed out 4 times.
Oh yeah.
So they're like, and you wonder then, is it going to be? It would obviously be just as exciting as a special, but when like you've lost the fucking will, sometimes you're trying to get to a bar, for an example, and you're like 4 attempts and it's like 4 deep at the bar. You're like, oh fuck it.
Yeah,
you know, and you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'll just fucking go to a shitty bar where nobody, you know.
Yeah.
Is there that going to be like, we've done this so fucking much now at this
Yeah.
stage? And we're like, what's the protocol with the hotel? Are they going, yeah, grand? Like, is there any penalties or anything? Or are they just...
There is, like, they were sound enough. They were actually dead sound. They let us change a couple of times and kept, let's say, the prices and the deal that we got same as, so there was no issues there or whatever. But they're like, if you change again, we're going to have to renegotiate your contract. So they were like, all right, fine, because we were in March, so the rate we got was obviously not as expensive as the summer rates, if you know what I mean. But they let us move to July without changing the rate, so it was like grand job, and moved it to March, and they're like, yeah, that's fine, but if they change again, they're gonna be they'll have to do it. They've been fine, they've been grand, no problems with them at all. But they were telling us during, again, like the first lockdown or whatever it was, they were getting undercover guards coming in checking them at weddings and all this shit. Swear to fuck. Yeah, making sure that everyone was done and that everyone was shut down. And we went to, where did we go? No, because we were at a wedding there recently enough, and it was still last orders at 11:30, and it was grand crack. You just start fucking drinking earlier, you know what I mean? You're there drinking at fucking 2 o'clock, naggins in the church going, right, come on to fuck.
Yeah.
And it was grand, and it kind of, a mate of mine actually at one wedding brought his own bar down with him, as in filled his boot up with ice and vodka, gin and whiskey and beer, and brought a little table down with him, and out the back of the smoking area when everyone closed up, he just had a little mini bar. So he was running that for a couple of hours in the hotel. We're like, grand, yeah, but it's grand now, I think, because it's back to late opening or whatever, so we'll see. But again, it's all fucking changed now come March, which is the fucking annoying thing, you know. There'll be a huge spike. We're in the middle of the next huge spike in the Christmas as well, so we'll fucking see. But I don't think we'll change it again. We'll just do it with 4 people if we have to, and just fucking get it out of the way, you know what I mean? Tick the box.
There does seem to be there was something similar with us when it came to, and it seemed to be happening too easy. And I say that, like, literally, I didn't do a lot. If the truth be told, I did everything that was asked of me. But like, Natasha used to run events, so it's like, what the fuck would you have me in the way for?
There you go.
Just like the odd thing I was approached with.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you think of this? A or B? And I'm like, B. Fine. A it is.
Yeah.
And off she, you know, and like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Because let there be no mistake, it is not for men. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, God, no.
Like,
you're a passenger in this. You just sit there and do as you're told.
When I hear a fella's gone, and then I was about the envelopes, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
The fuck were you doing? This is a one time to have a bit of, well, maybe not one time. Maybe they'll have a couple of goes at it, but this is their time to have a right out bit of crack, early party that they've always been wanted. Like weddings are a camp. Like they're, you know, there's no bloke would ever make a wedding the way a wedding is, like typically. So I don't, to get in the way of the person who was born to do this shit.
No way. Yeah, you'd be foolish to get in their way.
You said you said you'd autotune, but there's no way autotune can make you from a shite singer into a good singer, does it?
Like, who's the voice? No, but it is scary. It is fucking terrifying how good it is.
Really?
Like, and it's so easy to use. So what you record in, or you record something and then you put it into auto-tune, and then the notes come up on the screen, right? And it'll show you, like, so the keys are down the left-hand side of the screen. It'll show you kind of left to right where your notes were hitting. And all you have to go in is double tap the blob, and it'll auto move it to the right note. I swear to fuck, and that's it. Yeah, so you can take something that, like, okay, if it's gack, it'll sound robotic if you're moving it all over the place, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it'll sound really warped and distorted and robotic, whatever. But you can make yourself sound perfect, no problem at all. And I only have the basic version, so there's the basic version, there's then like a medium price version, and then the pro version. So the pro version is like 800 quid, and I'm like, I'm not getting a fucking pro version. Like, what the fuck you on about? But the pro version, you can add like shakes to the voice, you can smooth out the voice and all this stuff, and it's insane. Like, if you got a stunningly beautiful, let's say, guy or a stunningly beautiful girl, and they were like an average singer, you make them brilliant, no problem at all. You'll make them phenomenal, and it's hard to tell. And this, right, autotune was developed by a guy searching for oil as well, right? He was using sonar reflections to find oil in the sea, and they were able to use that acoustic technology and the algorithms he developed to build Melodyne's autotune. It's fucking nuts. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. I remember reading it going, sorry, what the fuck? But it's stupid easy. It's so fucking, you'd be terrified at how stupid easy it was, yeah.
Isn't it like, it's almost an unspoken thing. Like people, you hear it in autotune every so often, but I almost thought it was a mythical thing that because you never hear that much about it because it's never like, well, fucking, you know, Beyonce's class, but fucking auto-tune, you know what I mean? Like, it's never, the two never come, it's almost like the music industry is burying the notion of it, not to get too fucking conspiracy theorist about it, but...
I think it's not even that. I think it's just accepted practice now. Because if you're trying to produce a single for radio, whatever, that has to be perfect and polished. You can't have, like, one bum note will stand out a mile away, you know what I mean? And usually that's what they do it for. So let's say Adele or Beyonce, like Adele would probably have one or two bum notes in there in a performance, and you just go and double click it and it's done. That's fine. And it's and it might only be like at like half a note. You could barely be able to hear it, but you just click it and make sure that it's perfect. And it's like, it's fucking insane. It's just so like everything's a fucking lie. You think like Instagram filters are a lie. This is like, lads. And then you can do other mad shit with it where you can take, let's say, one vocal take or even bits of it, and you can like copy and paste the song that she's singing and then like move it up a few notes or move it down a few notes, and you've got like perfect harmonies then that she hasn't sang, so it's just down 3 notes and you're like, lads, it's nuts. Like it's really nuts, but everyone does it because you have to be polished perfect, and like, you know, even trad singers would probably do it if they're recording an album. The engineer might even fucking tell them, but it's just to nudge in 1 or 2 notes that might be out, or if they can't hold a long enough note or whatever to make it sound good, that you just nudge it in and job done.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I think I want to get that now to just start singing funny songs.
Yeah.
Just for the hell of it.
Yeah. You could. I said, if it goes a bit too far, you sound like a robot, but like within 1 or 2 notes, you'll sound absolutely fine. And it's just fucking nuts. Like, yeah.
But you're a really good guitar player as well. Like, you've like a proper idea of music. Like, was that on the line for you before radio?
I'd only ever played for the crack, like, so I did music in Leavenscert. So, and I did guitar for you have to do a performance piece in Leavenscert and play like 6 songs. So I had to actually learn proper guitar for that. And then I was just messing around with it. So I never would have thought of, I only ever played for the crack like at home. So I never would have thought of doing it as a performance or anything like that. I did once, actually. You know what I did? I think when I was broke and unemployed before the comedy, I tried to get a gig in the local hotel I used to work in, just playing like background music in the restaurant. Lovely. So I was working in the bar, right? And then they had some guy who used to do that. I was like, give us a shot doing that. I'll do it for the first night for free. Let us know who we get on, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, grand. But I was 2 days before I was doing this, I was doing the bottle bins out the back, right, of the hotel.
Yeah.
And did I even have gloves on? Doing the bottle bins out there anyway, and I still have the scar on my finger. Reached down in to grab a few bottles, whatever, with the top was sheared off one of them, and I sliced the top of my finger off my left hand, like proper fucking ripped it open. 2 days before I was meant to be like going for my audition in the restaurant, and it split open. And then I was chatting to a mate of mine about it, and he was like, just like, and I didn't realise he was taking the piss, but he was just like, just super glue it back together, it'll be fine. So I went off and got the super glue, and like the proper hardware shop super glue, put it back in and just did it. And I was like, yeah, that worked, that was grand. He's like, did you actually fucking do that? And I was like, well, yeah, what was wrong with it? So I glued my finger back together and then went and played. And then actually they paid me that night, but then the following week they hired someone else, and I was like, cunts, without even saying anything. They were like, we're not doing that anymore. And I was like, okay, grand, don't worry about it. And then the next day there's some other random cunt in there, and I'm like, and I worked there, at least you could have done was giving us a fucking heads up. But yeah, so I'd played for years, and then so, but nothing, and I never thought about bringing it into fucking comedy or anything, you know what I mean? Because
that was my first thought. Like, I mean, why not? Like, you're well able to write a funny song. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, you know, your Christy Moore stuff. Fucking why not? I mean, bust it out. I mean, it's class. I mean, it's class. You do the Maniac one in the Christy Moore voice, and I would do that exact fucking sketch on stage.
Yeah. I did it with Deirdre O'Kane the other night. So the first time I tried that, because I was like, I have to just try it for the crack, like, so that because I'm trying to incorporate that into a new show to just have something fucking different anyway. But I tried it for the first time just to see what it would be like for the crack. Yeah, it went grand, like, you know, it was grand. But I'll probably try and do a little bit more of a. I don't know how much you could do before I start getting bored and repetitive. You know what I mean? So there's a few other things I want to play around with. But yeah, like, we'll see.
Well, I think that it would be very funny. Do you know I love the explanation at the top.
Yeah,
as to what he's doing.
Yeah.
And also, so I think you could stop suddenly a few times to add what you need more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because they in themselves will be jokes as to what you're talking about, Christy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Start sweating.
Yeah.
You know, only wear Dunn's t-shirts.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that man does not get dressed up.
No, 100%. But like the other thing I'm going to try and do is, because like at the top of that, like it's very much him just talking over the guitar. Right? It's not even singing, right?
No.
But I would try to do a little bit of at the Oak, and would be, you know, to take the shit you learn from the crowd work and throw that into the top of the song. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And mix it that way. And it wouldn't be too hard if you're not trying to be too musical with, you know, because you look at a band man and you're like, he's a fucking genius. You can't fucking do that stuff.
Oh, no, forget that.
But talky shite from a Christy Moore thing is just conversational over the music, but it would still work. So I did a tiny little bit of that, and tried to mix it in, and it went all right. So that's, I think, what I'd love to do as like an ending piece to the song. You nearly write a Christy song based on a lot of the stuff that you'll get from the crowd that night, you know what I mean? And that could be a good crescendo-y kind of piece or whatever. So that's part of the plan that I'm going to try and start doing, you know? But yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, you'd be like, do you remember that time, Brendan? And it could be actually Brendan.
Exactly.
And a story. And we were coming out through Watergrass Hill. Useless to me. Yeah, it did.
Yeah. And you could do half and half. Half would be scripted and ready to go, and then half would just be talking shite about the cunts in the crowd and see where it goes from there, you know?
You got into decent shape again, because I see you were out running dick runs and stuff like that. Which, by the way, if you please explain this was genius. It was just lovely. Mickeys are never unfunny. Drawings of Mickeys.
That was last year now, and some cunt has robbed my idea this year. But your look,
no.
Yeah. So the idea was for Movember to do a charity run, and because we were in lockdown. Everyone was going for walks or runs, so you know the way your GPS or your Strava or whatever it is that you go for a run, and it will track your route and draw the route that you do on a map. You just run in the shape of a dick, and then the idea was like a paint was it the paint bucket challenge, the water bucket challenge thing. So you go on a dick run. Ice bucket challenge. Yeah, so you go on a dick run and you tag 3 of your mates to do the same thing. So I did one a day every day last year, but it was so funny because the original idea for that was I wanted to get the station behind it to do a 10k dick run on Dollymount Strand, right? And I had chatted to the lads in Movember, and they're like, they're all up for it. We got a proposal in from an event management company, and I went in to the bosses in the station. I was like, lads, let's do a massive fucking dick on Dollymount Strand and let's go for a run. And they were having none of it, so 100%. Like I even got the guy who does the voiceover for the station, Mark Silks is his name, or Silks. I got him to voice up a demo promo, and it was like the FM 104 Dick Run. Right? I was full of dick puns. It was like, how hard could this be? You'd be nuts not to do it. All this shit, right? And played it for them, and they were just like, no, this isn't happening. So what we did then, so that was meant to be for April of 2019, I think, because that was like testicular cancer month or whatever. So I've been trying to get this on for a year, nearly 2 years. Lockdown came, Movember came, and I was just like, I'll just do this on my show. You know, they can't give out to me if this isn't a station-wide thing, this is a show thing. So we just went and did it, and I just told the lads in our social department that we were doing it. We recorded a video and went out and did this huge fucking dick run thing and got a load of people involved and got a load of listeners involved to go run in the shape of dicks all over the place.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's good crack.
Tristan back, because I never actually got to ever ask you, because we were so engrossed with my terrible story and how bad it fucking was and all the rest of it. But like, surely be to God, you have a couple of ropey stories.
Terrible gigs.
Yeah.
I think the worst one. There was a few bad ones. I was doing a show in Smock Alley Theatre, and I think they email out all their shows to all their like patrons or their members of the theatre, right?
Oh no!
So theatre goers,
theatre people,
yeah, exactly. Theatre people aren't exactly stand-up comedy people or whatever. But the problem was a woman brought her, like, I would say he was at least like 105 years of age, her outlet in. And she had to walk him in, and he was hunched over, as in he was proper old man now, hunched over, couldn't stand up straight at all, like proper on death's door, and he had a walking stick with him, and he came in and he couldn't speak and he could barely hear it, and she just brought him in, and he sat up the front row, and she was holding him there, and he had his walking stick, and I was in the middle of a show, and this is like the solo show, an hour-long show, and she had to keep kind of like whispering him stuff, explaining what was going on or whatever, and it was just real off-putting because he was right there in the middle, you know what I mean? And you're like trying to do stuff, but twice during the show, he there's no raised platform on that thing. It's just you're on the ground and they're in front of you. But he just let his walking stick drop and it smashed on the ground. And it was so like, what the fuck? I thought he died. But he did that 2 or 3 times. And it was like, what the fuck? And I was like, is he okay? And she's like, yeah, he's grand. But that was awkward. But the worst one, I think, the worst gig I ever did was a gig up in Portaferry. I don't know if you've ever been up that neck of the woods, right? Up past Belfast. And it's the other side of the fjord up there in Belfast, right? So to drive out to, Mark Cahill?
Yes.
So we'd drive out to Swords, I think. He was driving. So me and him and 3 others. It was 5 of us in the car. Drove like a 4-hour, at least a 3 or a 4-hour drive up past Belfast to this place, Portaferry. Now you can drive around the whole thing, or you can get the ferry across to where the bar was. So parked up, got the ferry, and realised we were half an hour late. So we got the ferry over, and like the next ferry down was in like 30 minutes. So we had to go into this pub, and the pub was. The gig was upstairs in a pub, but the upstairs was like open plan, if you know what I mean. It was just seats around the edge of the upstairs bar. There was Champions League on downstairs, and it was all lads just watching the fucking Champions League. And they had set up 2 massive PA speakers, and there was only 4 people there, right? Like, only 4 people. I think 2 of them were organising the fucking gig as well. And we were standing up there. I was like, lads, you can all only do 5 minutes now because we literally have to go back to get the ferry to go home and drive all the way back. And we got up, and as soon as the first person started talking, all the lads downstairs were like shouting at them, shut the fuck up, like the Champions League match. Champions League match downstairs. And we're up there trying to be, hey, any couples in? And it was literally, when I say the width of the room I'm in, so maybe like 8-10 foot. Was the width of the venue, because it was just the upstairs where they would have food or breakfast or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was, so there would have been two-seater tables wide, if that makes sense. And that's where it was. And I just remember going up, kind of going, you're like, why am I doing this? That's one of those, when you get and another 4 or 5 hour drive on the way back, but like, there was no one there to laugh. It was a horrible gig. No one got paid or anything. And there was literally 4 people there. And 2 of them, I think, were the promoters, and it was just fucking arse. And then you're jumping back into the car and driving the whole way back, another 4 or 5 hour drive back on like shite roads for the most part. And then you're just like, what the fuck?
There's nothing you can say in the car.
Yeah, and
there's nothing you can say.
You're literally kind of going, what am I doing? What am I doing this for at all? And it was just one of those real depressing, demoralising, deflating gigs where you're like, yeah, you're a grown man, Cormac. What the fuck are you doing driving up on a Friday night to do this gig? And then the other one, it was a terrible gig. It wasn't terrible. It was nuts. It was the craziest gig I've ever done out in the Jobstown House in Tala.
Oh, Jesus.
And it was one of those gigs where I think a comedian who used to be good, used to be brilliant, isn't doing so well at the time, stayed on afterwards and wound up getting a black eye off got in a fight with one of the guys in the crowd.
I think I know who you're talking about.
But I went, and it was so mad, right? Because the venue was actually perfect for comedy. It was the Jobstown House, and they charged a $5 or $10 in, right? And you walked in, and it was like one of those old function rooms in your local GAG club or whatever,
old carpet from the 80s.
100%. Old carpet from the 80s, a bar in there, and it was cordoned off, so it wasn't in. Everyone who was in there paid in to see comedy. No one wanted to listen to comedy. No one gave a flying fuck about the comedy. They were in there to chat away. And one of those venues where you go in and you're like, yeah, we're not going to be doing any material tonight because they don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? You have to go out and kick the crowd up the hole and kind of just play by their rules. And it was just crazy and chaotic, and everyone was going up just getting dog's abuse off everyone. But it would turn out to be a good gig, but it was one of those ones where you're like, yeah, you got to go into survival mode here because...
You could die.
Oh no! And a few of them did die, and one of them got a black eye later that night. And one of them as well was like panicking and freaking out. The guy who got a black eye before he went out was just panicking and freaking out. He was like, "There isn't the proper light on the stage and all this fucking shit," and kind of had to just play the hand you're dealt. And there was definitely a load of heavies. There's definitely a load of criminals that were in there, right? Because there was some lad I saw him rock up in a brand new Range Rover, into the middle and hang around with his heavies at the back. So I just said, we'll take the piss out of him, and depending on how that goes, we'll determine whether we're getting out of here. But they were actually good crack in the end, but it was just one of those... It was a great gig, but it was just one of those where you were just like, you're not doing material, and you're going to have to fucking go out and... I don't want to say attack them, but you're going to have to go on the offensive here. You're going to have to go on the offensive here and demand a bit of attention or whatever. Otherwise, you'll be eaten alive. You would be eaten alive, but that was intense. And then a few of the terrible ones of fucking... I remember I was trying out new stuff in the International, and there was this like mouthy American up the front, and I was trying to have a bit of crack with her. I was trying to do some crowd work, whatever. And then she was, I don't know what, it was the most humiliating moment I've ever had on stage, because I don't know, the conversation in America led onto guns or something, and she picked up her handle and did a shape of a handgun, like a finger gun, right?
Right.
And I was like, oh, what are you doing with that? And she's like, I'm going to fire it as soon as I hear a joke, honey. And then everyone just went, and it was just one of those,
Jesus.
everyone was on her side, everyone started breaking their whole laughing at me, not with me, and I'm just like going, because you know you've lost. And then it was just, okay, move on. Do the rest of your 5 minutes and fuck off home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Jobestown, like, I think the only reason why I got on there so well, it was the most adverse reason you would ever do well, is because they didn't know what the fuck I was.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could box off most people and go, I have an idea what is going on there. But with me, because I would come up so aggressive.
Yeah.
So aggressive, because it was the only way I could see this going well.
Yeah.
Would be go so aggressive at him, and from there see where we'll go. And it was, they didn't know, because I was such a culture. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I may as well been from the fucking moon. As far as they were concerned. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I remember going in there one night. I came in through the back door. It just happened to be open. I parked up, and there was a bloke in there with a lurcher and no shirt on at all.
Fuck
the lurcher
off.
was on a string. Yeah, he was just standing inside and smoking just inside the actual door of the venue, like smoking a fag. And this is 7 o'clock. There's other ones ordering fucking WKD fucking cocktails. Like, you're going, well, this.
Yeah.
We have two choices: either sit back into the car and drive away home, or go fucking bananas. Like, and that was my only saving grace, is that because with my accent, they had no grasp of what the fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I was from a part of Ireland that they just didn't grasp at all. They were just going, well, he may have a gun with him, so it's, we'll just go along. We'll just go along with. No, they never bent or broke. Like, they just went along with me. Like, but because I was often thinking, like, the amount of times you had me on there, because your radio station was always Dublin based. It wasn't like a national one. So, like, one of the days you had me in there, and it was like, what's in your pocket? You had a thing.
Oh yeah.
And poor old Saoirse, she hadn't a fucking clue, even when I did take it out of my pocket, as to what it was. Like, it was a cartridge of a shotgun cartridge.
Yeah, I remember that. Jesus, yeah.
And I was often thinking, like, driving home going, like, I get Cormac, because Cormac is a hint culture. Like, and you know what I mean? Like, he gets, but like, some of his listeners must go, where the fuck did he get this from?
Yeah, they wouldn't know what's going on,
What's going on? But I'm not even close to it. Like, you garnered, I won't say Howard Stern, because you weren't foul, but like, you've had some mad guests.
Oh, stop.
Like mad jokes.
The fucking,
where does your choice of guests come from? Like, we
were trying to do like the late night stuff. So it was always a case of like, we took over on F104 from the phone show, the infamous phone show, right? Which was like scumbags ringing in. It was like putting a mic in that room in Tala and just letting them.
It was like, I remember driving over one night, and I just happy fucking kid was on the radio, and it was like, "Hey, your man next door selling drugs, and I swear to God, she's buying drugs for her 12-year-old young fella," and somebody else, "I'd kick my fucking young fella in the head if I wouldn't." And you're going, this is the best radio ever. And you're wondering, are some of these incredible actors that they've just got on, because where would you get these fuckers?
Like, some of them are just fucking nuts. But like, so we came on, and your man who was co-hosting, because I came on and I was like producing / half co-hosting with him, Keith Ward was on, right? And then he left, and I was like, I don't want to fucking do that show. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a fucking comedian show. You're not going on riling cunts up and doing that format, and the listener numbers weren't heading in the right direction either, so they were open for a new format. So I was like, let's try this. So the kind of, just the thinking was, it was late night, it still had to be relevant in Dublin, but you wanted to listen to the fucking crazy so that people would be like, did you hear? So rather than having people boxing the head off each other on the radio, you just more mad bastards. And we had some weird ones on, like, although the funniest one one of the funniest ones we ever got on was a lad who and just to back up, when lockdown 1 came, and obviously the shit hit the fan, right? So advertising disappeared from media because there's nothing fucking happening, no one's making any money. So the government issued this like radio campaign where it was like they were paying the radio stations to produce COVID related content, right? So we had to try and figure out, how do we make COVID-related content for our show, not naff and shit and wash your hands, so that every station had to come up with a certain amount of minutes per day of COVID content to apply for and get the grant of whatever it was. But we found one great lad who pivoted his business. He was a strip club owner, right?
Class.
And he had a strip club out in Portland, Oregon, and they were obviously shut down. So what he did instead was out in the car park, put a marquee up, put all the poles out in the car park, and had a drive-through strip club with all his regulars. Yeah, with all his regulars coming in, paying money, and there'd be people, dancing on the pole outside the car, and you get food as well, and you drive through for a few minutes, and then that was the strip club. And then he had his he was doing takeaway deliveries, but it had his strippers delivering food to people. So you get like a lap dance at your door and food as well. And I was like, genius. But there's a lot of weird people out there. We had another woman who makes, like, she's 60 years of age, and she makes like 20 or 30 grand a year selling pictures of her feet on OnlyFans.
Stop.
Oh, like the amount of weird fuckers that are making like stupid money. And she said a fella got in touch with her and was like, do you do custom requests? And she was like, well, it depends on what it is. Like, what do you want? He goes, well, I want you to come over to a hotel room, and I want you to stand on my birthday cake in your bare feet, and I just want to watch, and I'll give you £1,000 to do that. And she was like, all right. So she goes out to some random hotel room with him and takes her shoes off, stands on this birthday cake in front of him, and he gives her £1,000, and then she leaves.
Jeez, I do that myself.
I know, yeah. I was talking to another lad as well, some fella who's making like 20 or 30 grand a year on that as well. Like, there's loads of them. Actually, we had girl on the show last night, 20-year-old from Dublin in college, and she's making like 100 grand a year on OnlyFans. And I'm like, why are you in college? She's making more than her lecturers in college, like, and she's like, yeah, just like going to college.
But there's almost acceptable level, like, I mean, who am I to fucking judge people? Sure, I mean, whatever the fuck you're into, like, but I mean, if your sister was at it, you'd be like, well, fucking steady on that. You could then judge, like, but at the same time, these are people, and I don't know, like, me and a 22-year-old right now, we're on such different planets.
Different planets.
You know what I mean? Like,
different planets,
the liberal level of fucking, if a fella can do it, a fucking woman can, grand.
Yeah.
But let there be no, if a fella's doing it or a young one's doing it, it is a form of hooring. There's no two fucking ways about it. Whatever way. No, if you're cool with that, you're cool with that. But I never thought it would take off. Like, it was before any lockdown or OnlyFans was thinking. I remember there was SugarDaddy.com.
Yeah.
And it's the odd Irish young one was doing it. And I remember doing a bit about it. And he used to kind of weird people out. But the only way I could come back around was going, because I could never see a sugar nannies coming on. Like, because no matter how hungry I was eating Coca noodles in fucking college, at no point did it ever cross my mind to, to go down on another woman, like, for a few quid. Like, it never. Do you know? And, like, look, you're grossed out by it, but it was the same thing. It was like, oh yeah, fair enough. But it was because in my head in Ireland, I'm like, there's too few of us for your friends not to call you out on it.
Yeah,
like.
That's what I said. I think, like, in America you can be anonymous enough, but in Ireland everyone will know everyone. And it's too small. We're too small.
Your friends will call you a dirty bitch or a dirty fucker. Like, you know what I mean? One or the other. Your friends will. Like.
Yeah. So.
But it seems to be this acceptable.
100%. There's loads about it. We've had 2 or 3 on the show doing that, and I'm trying to think some of the other weirder ones. What have you had? The strip club guy for the guy who swears by drinking his own wee. And then a woman who adds her fella's jizz into her smoothies every morning.
Class.
Yeah, so
that's just great.
That's
that's just great.
It's the quality, that's the caliber of guests we get on our show. It's not all smut and filth, but yeah.
There's a good sample. Did you ever have your man on from Bray, which blows my mind? He was on Claire Byrne. He's making like 50 grand a month on OnlyFans.
No, I know what you're on about though. No, we never had him on. Yeah, same stuff.
Jeez.
Yeah,
but like making that kind of money, like
stupid money.
That was it. I actually did a bit, but it has a finite existence given that we're coming out of it now or whatever. But I did a bit in the last few months. Like, I was going, it was a serious situation when a fella from Bray is making fucking 50 grand a month. And let's be honest, mostly women.
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't have made 5 fucking quid a month post fucking, like, not least nothing to do with him like, he's in serious shape and he is he is ginger, but he's from fucking Bray. As soon as he opens his mouth, that accent.
Yeah. It's mad. We're like that. We've all been told a lie. Like, we had your one on last night making 100 grand a year doing OnlyFans, and then we had, you had the Guinness guru. The guy who just goes testing pints. He's doing that full time now. Can you imagine that? Yeah, so he said he's still living at home, right? So he's still living at home, but like, he's still in his 20s. So like, who the fuck isn't living at home till you're 40 these fucking days anyway? Yeah. But He's but he's getting sponsorship on his videos now. His Instagram and his socials have blown up. So he's like, I was trying to think this. Everyone told you, Tom, to go get a job and get a degree and get a good pensionable fucking job and stop playing fucking video games. We were chatting to a 15-year-old a year or two ago who like came. Where did he come? He was playing. I can't remember what game it was, but he got in the like top 50. He got prize money of 50 grand. You know, a 15-year-old got 50 grand for playing one of those like World of Warcraft games, tournaments or FIFA or something. Yeah. And then there's the whole esports kicking off. They had an esports tournament in the 3 Arena where it's just people watching teams playing against each other on the big screen, and they're making a fucking fortune. And then Guinness Guru lad just sinking pints, you know, and getting paid full time, and then OnlyFans, and you're like, fuck this. In the wrong game, Tom. You gotta start putting pictures of me feet up online and going, right, where's my money?
You fucking wonder, like, you know, like who would have told her to put feet up on, you know? And you have a man doing the Guinness, like, because he looks like he's kind of unenthusiastic. Obviously, he doesn't have a stage presence, but he's obviously putting the effort in to go to these bars and give it a genuine fucking review. And I was watching him going, he doesn't look like he's that into this. But maybe it's just, you know, that he's not theatrical in his whole. So guys, listen. You know,
your typical YouTuber. Like, hey, you guys, just popped in here to try Guinness. Woo!
But you got to take your fucking hat off and go, fair fucking play.
Because it's ridiculous.
There's another lad. I'm guessing it's real fast smash cuts, like, and I don't know where he's from in Dublin, but he does like a Curry Tuesday,
right?
And he's just eating, and he eats out at all these. Now I don't know. This young fella must be fucking away half it, or he just has that early 20s metabolism because he's in really good nick, and he's eating these like horrendous fucking meals that are like 4,000, 5,000 calories. Do you know? But he's reviewing all his places, and you look, then he's got 100,000 followers, and all of a sudden the content changes then to, so I've been invited down here to such and such. Like, fucking fair play to you, lad. You're eating fucking out chicken.
That's it. It's ridiculous.
You know, crispy chicken, and now all of a sudden you're.
But a lot of these people are getting bigger followers than like radio stations and TV stations. And because they're super niche and they're super topic specific, like the brands, if you're like Guinness, for example, Guinness is better off doing a campaign with him than on a radio station, because it's like, well, they're all the Guinness drinkers, and there you go. Now, I know there are some benefits, but those real niche things like makeup people, or those kind of food people, or those real niche ones that people have blown up an audience around it. Like, you could probably do one reviewing chicken fillet rolls. There probably is a chicken fillet roll reviewer.
Betcha.
But like that kind of stuff where it's just a super niche audience, and an advertiser's like, I'll just pay him £1,000 and that would be a fraction of what you pay for a radio or TV station. You get more bang for your buck out of that as well. And you're like, job done. Thank you and good night. Yeah.
Fuck the degree.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's just kind of like, fuck that indeed. You should do like, I don't know, chainsaw reviewer.
Should actually, yeah. I actually should. Yeah.
Pick a DIY reviewer, pick something, blowtorch reviewer.
I would like to do, because they've so many of them have popped up around the country. I would actually like to do a barbecue joint.
Yeah, do that.
Barbecue, like, I would have to set it out. It's literally set it out, because the work that it would take, because you physically have to drive. Do you know? Say there's 10 in Dublin. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's maybe a dozen. Yeah. There's probably 2 in Cork. Yeah. Handful, you know, around the place. It's not like fucking South Texas where there's, you know, you're tripping over them or whatever. But I think it'd be well worth it. But also, I'd say, you know, I'm never going to slag off a place like for whatever.
See, that's the other thing. That's the other thing of where you kind of get snookered, especially from a comedic point of view, where you need that freedom to fucking slag what you're doing, have a bit of crack instead of that corporate kind of bullshit where you're like, you can't slag the client, or that radio shit where you're like, you know, you have to be very careful what you fucking say, and the client's fucking God. You know, you can never fucking upset the client, which is a pain in the tits. Understandably, they're paying your fucking wages, so you'd be like, fair enough. But like, that's the only thing. But like, if you did it, you'd have to be doing it for years and then build up like a fucking subscriber base, paying subscribers or a Patreon. Then you might be able to do it. But if you're playing nice and friendly with the sponsors, you know, that's like everything. It gets a bit diluted and a bit shit.
Yeah, it's true. But I do, I mean, what else could you review around the country? Like the pints fella, in all fairness, every time I see him, even though he looks kind of unenthusiastic about it, I do want a pint.
There you go.
The second he's I'm like, I get it. I fucking get it.
Yeah. But because I was thinking of a series like, because I'm shite at DIY, you know what I mean? There'd be like before a transformational, getting schooled on how to become a man.
Coach you on
There you go.
I've built my own log cabin down here.
Have you?
That's where we're living. We built
I built one on me. I'll build one up here for the crack, and you can come down and go, what the fuck are you doing? We'll pitch that into Woody's or whoever, and you just use all their products and you do a load of the fucking things on site there, and they give you 50 grand and their job done.
Sure, Brezzy the Couture he pulled it off with Chadwick, sure.
Oh, did he?
He did, he did, yeah. Well, he had him on the Tom and Jerry show, and even beforehand, he was like, he had a bit of sawdust on him or whatever. Let me guess, you've got a hardware fucking thing coming up. Like, he goes, no, it doesn't know. Yeah. I says, you have. Tell the fucking truth. I've seen you every time. I guarantee you, every second picture for the next month is going to have a D-wall somewhere in the corner. And lo and behold,
there you go.
Chadwick's were looking after him, something serious. Like.
A mate of mine works in marketing. He does social media for fairly big, one of the biggest agencies in the country. He was telling me about some of the fees, some of the top. They do some work in the UK market as well. And he was saying, it was like Uncle Ben's, or was it Ben's? You're not allowed to say that anymore. Ben's, whatever it was. They wanted to advertise with this YouTuber lad who has like 1 million subscribers, and all he does is recipes. So he'll go out to a market, he'll buy some stuff, come back to the house, and he'll make a recipe. And they were like, how much for you to use our curry sauce in your thing? And it must have been, I think it was, right, to just have it there as a product placement and not to be mentioned. He'll use it, he won't name check it. It was like 30 grand for him to have just a jar of their sauce in the video, and him using it and not even like making a big deal about it or mentioning it in the fucking video. And they were like, sorry, what? And it's like, yeah, and that shit, that's what, if you're at that level, you're like, here, fucking hell.
Jeez, there's almost something in me, and I don't know if it's just being Irish, but you just have to squash the guilt, because I'd almost feel guilty that kind of getting money that fucking handy. Yeah, because I've never gotten money that fucking handy before. Yeah. Like, it's
insane. There's loads of them like that. Again, people are charging different rates for different things and whatever. I suppose whatever you can get, you know. But it's just there's some fucking mad money out there online, like fucking mad. Now, there's a lot of cunts not making a fucking penny either. But like the people who have their audience, and especially around like a niche like cooking or something like that, you're like, here. Good luck. Like that kid, Ryan's Toys, he's the highest earner on YouTube. Do you ever hear him? He's the kid, the kid that reviews toys. Now they say he makes about 20 or 30 million a year. Yeah,
are you serious?
So just from product endorsements or whatever, 20 or 30 million a year of just getting to play with fucking toys. Jesus. Yeah. So you're like, hey, what the fuck is this job shit?
Yeah, 20, 30 million, and then retire at 10, because nobody after that ever wants to hear from anything beyond that when it comes to toys.
Can you imagine planning your retirement at fucking 10 years of age? Where am I going to summer? I don't know.
Taking up golf.
Yeah.
At fucking
10, 11 years of age. But yeah.
Class.
If you can get it though.
Yeah. All right, well, let's think about the fucking DIY one. Let me set you some fucking challenges.
Yeah.
Well, I've Gordo Rochford. He's so excited. He may or may not listen to this one, but I bought him his first proper tool bag.
Oh, have you?
And he's I'm going to bring it up to the next day. But he got himself a screw gun.
Shit.
He's moved out to the country as well.
Oh, has he?
So
because he was only down the new place in Stoneybatter, Cabra.
I think Cabra. Yeah, he literally got about 12 shows out of it, and then COVID hit, and then he was kind of quizzing me about moving to the countryside. He was like, "Is it as good as they say?" I was like, "Dude, you could be on the moon. Most of your listeners are in America.
Yeah.
You are a podcaster from your house.
Yeah.
Where does your house have to be? Anywhere.
Yeah.
You could literally be doing it at sea.
Yeah.
You could be doing it at sea.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Once you have decent enough broadband for him, dial the guests in, job done."
Well, in fairness, he still brings lads over because he's doing such big numbers now.
Yeah.
He's paying.
Yeah.
He's paying nicely.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So lads will travel for it.
Yeah.
Do you know? So, I mean, and now he's thinking, fucking, you know, he's, of course, all of his partners, his brothers are all big alpha male builders and farmers and stuff.
He's out with his
so that podcast. Shit rubs off. That shit rubs off. You gotta step up your game.
I know.
So, yeah, I reckon maybe that's where we go.
Yeah.
See, can we set you a challenge? Do you know what? You pierce my ears and spray tan me.
Fair. Time for fucking payback, yeah.
You put me in skinny jeans and made me do Pilates. It's time. I'm going to buy you a check shirt just like this one. Cormac, this has been fucking always class, and I wish we were actually in a pub, supping pints.
That's the other thing I'd love to do is set up a proper recording setup in a pub with pints.
Yeah.
You know, have a little studio booth and just it'd be nice.
The amount of times I've said that out loud.
Yeah.
And I've never followed through.
I know.
And it would be ideal.
Oh, stop.
It would be
the
fucking
fucking
ideal.
dream.
Pick a subject and we try and discuss it as we get slightly drunk.
Yeah.
Oh,
feminism.
Beautiful.
Let's go. Trying to dissect it with a drill and a wrench. Right. Let's figure this one out, lads. We got it.
Follow Cormac. You'll find two Cormacs. Avoid Cormac Moore, who's with the... Well, no, actually...
He's a sports author. He's good, He's a sports journalist or writer, yeah.
There's another Cormac Moore who plays in the whatchamacallit band. He's in the Late Late band as well.
The something quartet.
Yes, the Camembert Quartet. Very nice man.
He is actually,
so,
Follow all of us. There's three of us.
Well, just for the sketches alone. And do you know when are you gigging next?
I'm meant to be gigging on the 19th in the Crack Den in the city centre.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I will be able to with the whole COVID thing. What date is it? The 11th. I may not be able to do that.
Might have shook it off just
Might have shook it off. And then there's another one I can't. There's an end of the month somewhere else again, and I can't for the life of me remember that one. So yeah, just fucking I'll be shiting about it online if you want to come and see me try and fail with new stuff, because that's all we're trying at the moment is new shit. Yeah. So be a bit of crack.
Cormac, thanks a million, brother.
No worries, sir. Thanks for having us on. Anytime.
Thanks a million, Cormac. I hope you feel better. I genuinely do. It's just, it's nice to have a first. I'm just saying. He may or may not have COVID, or he may or may not be pregnant. We're not fully sure. Anyway, that's been the podcast. You know the crack. There'll be another Patreon exclusive Ramble Pod out the middle of next week. As well as that, we're going to have another live show in a fortnight's time. So, become a patron, support the show, and we'll have the crack. Today's video is up as of last night. So if you want to catch our actual faces, again, become a patron. There's of course the merch page. But if you're not going to do any of those things, that's all right. Just do as a favor and jump on your Instagram, screen grab the old podcast as you're listening to it, and tag it in it. Just to put the word out there. Whatever platform you're on, please do. TikTok, the video of you listening, whatever, just to get the word out there, gang. I know. I'll be back next week. You know the gigs: Clonmel, Dublin, and University Concert Hall Limerick. Good luck. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll talk to you again next week. Good luck and blessing. Thanks.